Welcome to another episode of Real Life Survivor Stories, a talk show about real life, real people, and real stories. And if you're new and you're just tuning in, Real Life Survivor is a nonprofit organization. And what makes us unique is that we're an organization for every cause, every circumstance, and every condition, so no one ever has to feel alone or suffer in silence. We share stories on every platform. And here we give you a voice. And today we have with us all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, Jonathon Poe. Welcome, Jonathon. It's so nice to have you on the show today and in the studio with us.
Hi, Julie. You're looking beautiful today. Ooh.
Thank you so much. We've been waiting for you to come on. We had to kind of cancel everything because of the hurricane, but here we are. We're back in the studio, and you have an amazing story. And you and I have connected before, and did a FaceTime, and you've told me all about what you go through on a daily basis. And you're one incredible human being, and I'm so glad that you're here with us today again. And as I mentioned before. So we'll start off with what you are a real life survivor of. You are a real life survivor of sexual violence, and you actually have a book out. And so I will give you the platform, and maybe you can take us from there.
Well, my journey really started a few years ago, just exploring my own thoughts and where I wanted to go in life. I think that the more I advanced in my education, the more I became consciously aware of how things like sexual assault and domestic abuse and gun violence, how those types of things, even if they happen at a young age, how they can impact people,
Right.
many years, to come through that. So it was a book that really started out to be my own form of healing. My type of abuse, I think, is more common than what modern, education would say it is. Modern research would really suggest, but I believe that it's more common. Maternal sexual assault is what I say loosely suffer from, because it, coming back to why we wrote the book, it was a form of healing.
Right.
It was a form of, I don't want to say something selfish, but it was more about me and coming to grips and coming to terms as a grown person, as a man, as a Christian person, as a gay person.
Right.
I think that you hear those two things and it's like, oh, abomination, like those things can't exist like together, but I don't believe that to be so. There is, the book is something that what brought me to you and what brought me to Real Life Survivor is after I wrote it and I really experienced the healing from it. It's right back chair. It's right over here.
I see it. I have one. I have a copy. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, every person who purchases a book or contributes to a survivor who is trying to make light or make a path for others, other men, other gay people, that's a beautiful thing. That is, it may just be a few dollars to you or to a person purchasing it, but to me it is a way to help people, and you participate in that. You contribute by purchasing that book, by purchasing this book. You contribute to a person coming out of that darkness.
Right.
And by someone knowing my story, it has really produced a really healthy obsession. I say obsession because it's this healthy thing that I've been trying to do. I recently graduated with my master's degree.
Congratulations.
I have become more healthy, more exercising, and encouraging others to do so.
Right.
And I think that is really what brings me here. Is I say survivor because that's, I think, is what people are conditioned to really know, or what they're really supposed to say. But I view myself as, yes, a survivor starting out, but I am an empowered person that is trying to share with others through my story. Don't purchase the story, don't buy it, you don't even have to. Just know this from it is that there is, when you get to a dark point in your life and
Yes.
you feel as if there is no one understands you and you feel alone, that is, I think that is what is something that I often grappled with in my life, is feeling as if I was an odd person or if I was really alone in it. And, that's what I want people seeing this to take from that. Share real life survivor with someone, share my story with someone, and know that those stories that you hear of who are people who end up dead,
Hmm.
who people who end up in jail or in prison,
Right.
that doesn't have to happen to you. That doesn't have to be what it is for you. That's what it was for me, what it was for me thinking going through this. But if you don't really get the door started to move around, how can you really start to see the benefits of this? So I I received a large amount of positive feedback from my book, but don't let the negativity that comes with sharing something personal that another is unable to share at their particular walk in their journey, don't let that discourage you.
Right on.
Those
Yeah.
those thoughts, I feel like we're going to so much so quickly, but they're the thoughts is really where it starts. And
Okay.
I feel as if I am speaking to Miss Kitty Cat Julie here, but we're also speaking to people who may not really want to accept what happened to them. Or, it will creep in, it will be there, you will think about it, it doesn't go away.
Right.
You just really learn to manage it, and finding out that there were other people like me, other men, other celebrities, other people who have, seen my story and who have shared my story.
Right.
It 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 was it was a passionate thing to me to realize that there are other people out there and you don't have to hide. You've spent so much time being alone. Why would you want to hide? You know,
Exactly.
it's not worth it. And that's where I've come out with it. And I'm still learning how to talk about my journey. I think if you were to ask me about like college English, I think I would probably just be able to go off on I'm a college English professor. Listen at me stumble over my words, but I this is still relatively new to me.
When were you, I could say, when were you diagnosed with the symptoms after the trauma? When did it all begin? You could take the viewers back that far. I believe you said when you were 3 years old, it all started. That's when you remember.
Vague memories. I have
Right.
vague memories
So
at that young age.
when did you feel that things became different in regards to emotionally, mentally, through your daily walk? Like, something's not right. This is not right. What's happening? Maybe take us there for a minute.
Well, I think from personal experience, I think that as soon as the abuse occurs,
Right.
I think that it puts into motion this change, this catalyst of a change of events that comes through that it 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 manifests in other ways. It may be unseemingly non-connected to certain things,
Mm-hmm.
but it really started at a young age. My first memories I have of sexual abuse were, and this isn't hard for me to talk about. This portion
Right.
of it is not really difficult for me to talk about. The actual act of sexual abuse by my mother,
Okay.
that is not the hard part for me, because I have accepted that she is a sick individual, or at least that's what I say to myself. I try to compensate or cope for her, I guess, because I know that to feel as if someone lives their life kind of dead inside. Like I laugh when I say that, but like dead inside, how could you do this to
I
children
hear you. Yeah.
and
Terrible
not
thing.
acknowledge it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that portion of it was devastating to me. But to answer your question, three, I had like a vague memory of something that had happened, and then at five, it's not a vague memory. When things like that happen to a little person's body, I think it starts chemical changes to go on in their minds.
Right.
And I think that that's what it did to me. I think it caused me to sexually, I guess, progress further in my like than, really, you should. But the things that are really, difficult for me to talk about were these moments growing up, that you wanted to feel a part of something.
Yes.
You wanted to belong. Um, you wanted to feel as if you were a part of something
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't ever quite grasp it. You felt as if there was something wrong. You felt as if you know, something could change, or maybe it had already changed. The not knowing of it, the experiencing love for the first time is one of the most painful moments for me.
Okay.
Healthy relationships were for me in the beginning I say like serious relationships, but like when you first have like those desires, I guess you could say,
Right.
like of wanting to notice the person or notice for me, it wasn't a person of the opposite sex, it was a person of the same sex.
Okay.
I just couldn't really get past like a woman, I guess you could say. I mean, having had that experience, my first experience was something that I felt more comfort elsewhere. It seems as if and this is just one way in which something that happened, many years ago affected me many years down the
Yeah.
road.
It stays with you.
So
Yeah.
to really like say, diagnose that first, that's a tough one. There were so many firsts.
Right.
There were so many traumatic, experiences that resulted from that for me were difficult. So
Right.
that was that.
Yeah.
Um,
But at such a young age, like you wouldn't even know what was going on. You would just know that it was something that wasn't, in your normal
I
everyday,
mean,
like something that felt wrong.
well,
You know what I mean? Like
well, from
it's a horrific,
well, for
experience.
me, my memories of the actual act is that it just felt good, and I think that
Okay.
is, and I say this because that there were conversations that I had had later on, and this is for people who may have a child that they know of that could be being abused. This is why I'm here.
Exactly.
This is, to
Hmm.
although these things may be tough to talk about,
Yes.
some of which are not as tough to talk about, but some of them are tough to talk about. I think it's important to do so because there were times when I would make an when I would experience beauty in a innocent way, I would pull from my first experiences of what that euphoric, I guess, other non-normal experience that we live and encounter in our mundane lives.
I'm going to ask you, how has this impacted your life, like on an everyday level? Like, when from the moment you wake up in the morning, from the time you go to bed at night, throughout your day, what's that impact that abuse had on you as a child? But amongst all that, you've been very successful in, with your writing and your accomplishments. So, but that impact, like I say, as we grow, it grows with us, and it's what we do with that impact. You know, to inspire and help others through, with a
Yeah.
motivation, because a lot of people will let something like that cripple them, in a sense of, this
Exactly.
happened to me and I can't move forward. But there's a lot of people like you out there that, you'll go through something like this traumatic, but you'll use it as a tool to help inspire and motivate others,
Mm.
like you have with your book.
Well, I, like I said, I did not know that that was going to occur.
No.
I think that, but you say inspire, and I go in my mind, I'm like, what does that really mean? And to me, it's this full circle sort of thing that if you just, and I think why you're here and you do what you do, and why I'm here, and to really answer your question to start out, I don't think about it on a daily basis. Like for the most part, I go through periods of my time where I get very depressed. I wonder what it would be like to have like a wife and a child. Those are things
Right.
that I think about.
Right.
That if the abuse hadn't occurred, would I be different? Would I be a different person? Would my father think of me differently? Would my grandparents think of me differently? I would I not have had as much pain? Would I have not experienced it? And I think that part of all of that is why I don't experience it really every single day from wake up to the end. I have to let it go sometimes.
Right.
I have to compartmentalize it and take a step back because I know that even with being a college English professor, that is a mouthful in itself. But I have students who I feel like rely on me.
Mhm.
I have people who read my book and who will reach out on social media at TV_Poe on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's some defiant ones that still want to call it Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Find me, tell me your story. Find Julie, tell her your story. And, it is, and really all social medias, myjonathonpoe.com is my website. It's got everything on it that you can find me with. But to answer that portion of that is that I don't think about it. I have moments where it builds and it comes out, but I am I I come from I think a reserved bloodline, if you want to say that.
Mhm.
I am it takes quite a bit to kind of push me in a direction.
Right.
And then the Italian in me is going to come out like very angry,
Right.
but it takes a little bit. I mean, it takes a lot for that, but you have to understand that when I was figuring all this out, I was little. I had wrote in my book, you know, I felt as if I was navigating a minefield with the heart of a 5-year-old.
Right.
Like, what do you do?
Now, just to go back a little bit, through the impact of what you went through, the trauma that led you to writing your books,
Mhm.
right? Am I correct? And then with that, that gives people information, in the reading of your book, to help guide them and let them know that they can move forward and they're going to be okay. And yes, something not so great happened, but you can also succeed, you know what I mean, with moving forward in whatever goals you have set for yourself. It doesn't, but a lot of people out there don't have the mindset and the tools to move forward. So with your experience, and you're writing this book to help other people that have gone through sexual violence, this is going to be a big impact for those that are watching today. I know a lot of people out there listening and watching today that are viewing the program have gone through sexual violence, as a little boy, little girl, what have you. And there's adults alike that have experienced that. So your book is actually a tool for those people that don't know how to move forward. So I want to thank you for writing that and, expressing yourself today, because I know it's not an easy thing to do, to share your story. With that said, where are you today because of it? Now, you've already answered a little bit about that in regards to you're a professor and an author. And is there anything else you can add to that?
Uh, I'm so many things. I updated my resume a few days ago and I was like, how do we fit every single thing
Right on.
in one little piece of paper? But where am I? I'm in the present right now. I am actively working to be happy and to find joy in the little moments. My faith tells me that something comes next.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Right?
I'm not sure. I can't tell you what that
It's the
is, but
unknown, Jonathan.
whatever that may be,
Right.
um, even in itself, for all the naysayers, the unknown is actually something. So
Absolutely.
it it I know that that is, gonna happen, and I just try to live in the moment now. Seeing a student figure out how a semicolon is used correctly
Right.
is one of those types of little moments. Seeing my little plants grow, seeing my fur babies, get excited and doing fast puppy. Like those are the things that I'm trying to fill my life with,
Hmm.
because I realized a long time ago, and I think that this was something that one of those gems of information that I pulled from being a child that I had to figure out
Right.
soon. I have to be happy first.
Absolutely. I
I
love that.
cannot be responsible for someone else's happiness. What I do have a responsibility to do once I've made it out of the dark is to outline that, looking for those moments, bringing those moments to the forefront,
Hmm.
enjoying what time we have with each other, and knowing I try to think, and this sounds a little bit, but I do try to think of other people who have it worse than me.
Hmm.
My childhood was not the greatest of childhoods,
Right.
but you can turn on various channels of news and you can see children who are suffering right now.
Exactly.
And to me, that just tells me that, people like you and people like producers in the background, people like y'all and like me, we have a responsibility to people. If
Yes.
we want to say, I would like to be happy, if I would like to have just a teeny bit of joy,
That's
you
right.
have to be willing to give it to others.
And that's why we do this show. That's what Real Life Survivor is all about. It gives you a platform to share your voice. No matter who you are, what you do, no matter how small or big your story is, it matters, and so do you. So just by you being here today with us is huge, and you're bringing light to
Well,
others.
to, kind of really round out everything, I am learning this just like everyone else is. There isn't a place that you are at that I have not been at.
Right on. Okay.
Point blank. There is not a place, and the trauma feels the same. The sadness feels the same.
Hmm.
The depression is remembered the same. The pain hurts the same.
Yes.
So find your voice, and sometimes that can come from just picking up a pen and a paper and writing your thoughts
Absolutely.
down,
Yep.
and make that journey. You are the only person that is responsible for your happiness. And at a certain point, you're going to realize that you can't buy happiness. It's something that has to be made.
Yeah, it's something that's built
So,
in you, basically, even through the trauma. We carry that with us.
oh
It's
yeah.
either there or it's not. What inspiration in closing would you give to people out there that are watching today, that are lost and maybe just turned on the TV and there we are? And what is that one thing that maybe you could say, or maybe there's a couple things you'd like to say that would maybe brighten their day or maybe give them some direction if they
You are
are
not alone.
right?
Those people are not alone. You have a friend. Find me on social media. I will look. If it's super late, I may get to you back the following morning, but
Right.
we will have a conversation, and we will, talk about that phrase. It happened to me. I can't tell you how many times I have heard that.
Hmm.
And it doesn't ever get any easier.
Right.
And that is my inspiration, because I would like to change that. I have found, I think, my faith, Jesus,
Amen.
the
Hmm.
outlets that I have,
Right.
with various things, exercise, education, you know, fur babies, plants, talking to people.
Yes.
It that is where you can have that. You can, your version of that is attainable for people. So it my inspiration comes from that, changing that it happened to me from a bad thing and turning that to what happened to me later on. That's the new it happened to me. My joy started to happen. My
Right.
love in my heart started to expand more.
Right on.
That started to happen.
Right.
I went back to school. That happened. I became a father or a mother or something like that.
And like, again, try to take that negative and turn it into a positive that
Mm.
works for you. And again, there's viewers watching that, don't know how to do that, or maybe they want to learn how to do that, or wish that they could do that. But with this program and with you on today, and with your message through your trauma of the sexual violence, I mean, it's going to help someone find that maybe positive through the negative. So Jonathon, thank you so much. And I want to thank you, the viewers that are watching today. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're someone out there that would like to share their real life survivor story with us, you can reach out to me on Facebook under Julie Comeau, and also on my fan page, Real Life Survivor. And remember, no matter the struggle, no matter the challenge, no matter the obstacle, never give up. We'll see you back here next time with another Real Life Survivor story.